Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to another StarCraft 2 video. Now, I've got a feeling that some of you are really gonna enjoy this one. Now, of course, I haven't seen the game yet myself either, but in several videos in the past, I asked you to comment down below in the comment section of the video what pro gamer you would like me to cast games of on YouTube a little bit more often. And every single time, the one pro gamer who gets the most upvotes in the comment section is going to be none other than the player that I've got for you here, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Darkness Sanctuary. She's from Canada, although I think these days she actually lives more in Korea than in Canada. She's playing with the pink Zerg drones. Of course, I am talking about none other than Scarlett. Definitely a channel favorite, and her opponent spawning in the top right-hand corner. He's playing with the red TERRAN SCVs. He's from South Korea, definitely one of the stronger TERRAN players over there, and he goes by the name of Bunny. Not the most menacing name. I mean, this skull doesn't really make him look any more badass, considering his nickname is Bunny. Not to say that bunnies aren't badass, but more often than not, they're more or less gonna be considered cute and fluffy, right? Anyways, so here's the thing about Scarlett. Usually, she doesn't really participate in a whole lot of online tournaments, and I believe this one right here is part of an online tournament, but usually, she doesn't really participate in those regularly, like you see from some of the other players that I cover on this YouTube channel. And whenever she does travel to, like, you know, other gaming events, either they don't release the replay packs, or, you know, I've already seen the games myself, so I can't really go ahead and cast them anymore because I already know what's gonna happen. So I'm really excited to be covering this one for you. I don't get to cast as much Scarlett as I would like to, but you know, maybe that's gonna change in the future. Who knows? Let's have a look at the build orders. Looks like we do see a very quick command center here on the low ground by Bunny. He is going to follow it up with double gas now, as well as that barracks in the main base. But the reason why we do see that command center going up this early is because this map is absolutely humongous. I mean, there are tons and tons of bases on the minimap, as you may have already noticed. There are tons of juicy mineral fields to mine. Now, we do have horizontal spawn locations, which means that they spawn relatively close together, but still, there's a lot of distance in between these naturals. And usually, the reason why you don't want to go for the command center on the low ground first is because if your opponent is going for a pull first, you may accidentally just end up losing the game straight up if you're a TERRAN. But, you know, what Zerg player is going to go pull first on a map that is this massive? In particular, Zerg players get happy when they can take a lot of bases. So I'm curious to see how this game is going to go. Actually, I've seen some Zerg players go Mutaling Bane again, which, you know, makes me think of like the 2010 to like 2014 era or so of StarCraft 2. These days, mutas aren't very common anymore, but some players do like to play Mutaling Bane just because of their mobility and their speed on this map. Likewise, I've been seeing a lot of TERRAN players focusing. This is like a new school kind of style. They go like triple factory, all with reactors, and focus on a lot of cyclones and hellions and hellbats. Don't know if that's something that Bunny wants to do, but MECH is definitely a viable option on this map. Usually, I feel like on larger maps like this, playing that laid-back style of TERRAN is usually a little bit better, or at the very least, like more of a MECH-focused style, just because it's relatively easy to max out because of the amount of bases that you've gotten. Bio is going to be difficult to pull off anyway, because Zerg has got so much room to see your units coming in. They can see medevacs flying across the map really early on, and usually it's just not as viable, I suppose. So most of the time, actually, at least in tournaments, I've noticed that a lot of TERRAN players don't really want to play this map, but it looks like Bunny has got an own strategy already. He's got his own strategy for this already. Look at that. Super quick, natural expansion, of course, but then also a really rapid third command center here. I guess it's all relative, right? It feels like it's really quick because there's not really that many units out yet. A couple of Zerglings now, though, trying to make their way into that natural location. They will be able to pick up one of those Marines for free. Hellion now spawns in here. It is going to be able to get rid of most of these now that it's found a friend as well. A couple more links trying to make its way into, trying to make their way into the natural and into the main base, but it's not quite going to happen, as they also will find their death right here behind that command center. Apparently those SCVs don't care though, they're just gonna continue mining. The blood of those units immediately faded down into the low ground, but there's no denying that even though Scarlett went for a really quick third hatchery, she's now following it up upon realizing that there was very little scouting with an all-out assault with Roaches, Ravagers, and Zerglings. That Liberator though, I think is gonna be critical. It will be set up right on top of that ramp, trying to force as many of those roaches inside of that circle as well. Liberator will take a little bit of damage here. There's now a Banshee coming up for Bunny too. Even though he's got that third command center and he really doesn't have a lot of units, he's still doing a decent job holding on here. As long as these command centers stay alive, he's going to be in a good spot. Got to keep in mind though, there's a lot of economy that is committed here by Scarlett to this push already. Bunny going for the repair, knows very well, of course, that it takes 3 shots to kill that Liberator. So with a little bit of repair, he's going to be able to keep that one alive for a long time. And with that Banshee finishing here in just a second, even though these Hellions will be caught off guard, I think that actually Bunny should be able to hold here. That's still a lot of Zerg though. Question is Scarlett gonna commit? She's already droning up again, so she's definitely not gonna go all in with this, but now that the Banshee is out, I think that this one will be enough to deflect this massive Zerg push in the early game. Now, let's have a look. Bunny ended up losing quite a lot of resources. 6 SCVs in total, 7 Hellions and 1 Marine and 2 depots. That's not all too crazy, actually. Right? I don't actually think he minds that. He's got that third command center up. Worker-wise, he's pretty much even, except he's going to be able to drop 3 mules at once, which means that the Terran economy is going to be booming. Sure, supply-wise, Scarlett is currently ahead. But even though that looked terrible, and when I first started casting StarCraft, or when I first started watching casted games of StarCraft rather, I would look at this and be like, huh, that was terrible for the Terran player. But in reality, I mean, 3 bases are now up. Scarlett has to play catch-up when it comes to economy here, so she can't really continue pressuring for any while longer. Ugh, that Banshee. Get it out! There we go. Bunny is gonna be able to fly that one home as well. The thing is though, Scarlett is forced to drone up here for a little bit. She's not gonna have a very easy time trying to prevent this base, you know, from landing. Bit of a supply block though from Bunny. I mean, that's to be expected when you lose a lot of depots. It's the one downside, I suppose. Actually, he was slowed down quite a bit because of those depots that got sniped. Bunny now moving forward, trying to sort of contain this Zerg player. He's not really pushing very aggressively here, but he's showing the Hellions just to make sure that the Zerg player is forced to back off and not leave the main, right? If you leave the main right now, you can be assured that these Hellions are going to try and make their way into that mineral line. You don't really want to have that happen. So smart play there by Bunny, just simply posturing and trying to show that he's really brave and really strong. Roach speed is coming up right now, as well as +1/+1. We see the missile as well as the carapace upgrade, so that means that Scarlett is going to stick to this Roach Ravager based army for a little while longer. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we're going to be seeing Hydras in just a little bit. Maybe even Brute Lords, or maybe even Lurkers, or maybe even Swarm Hosts, something along those lines, I think. All of those options are great against MECH. Lurkers, of course, are very uncommon, but I've seen her play Lurkers in the past, and definitely is an option if you can deny your opponent from bases for a little while. Now, Bunny is going to go into that full-on MECH style. We saw the double armory already coming up, so that does mean that this is going to be a MECH-based force. More and more factories coming up, bringing the grand total up to 5 already. It's a very solid amount, so Bunny is going to be able to max out on MECH here over the next couple of minutes. It's going to take a little bit of time, in particular when Hellions and Hellbats just simply die like that. Although I guess he got some Zerglings for his troubles. At this point, Scarlett, yeah, she's gonna go for Swarm Host. Okay, I was gonna say, what exactly is her plan? You can't really let Terran players max out. I think that's the main thing that you're looking for if you're a Zerg. You can let them max out, but at that point you're gonna be playing with, you know, Vipers, and you're gonna be playing with Infestors. You're gonna have to go up to Brute Lords. You're gonna have to get a really maxed out Zerg army, and it's really difficult to even get to that position in the first place. Usually, units like, for example, the Swarm Host are great at just picking apart the Terran player. So what Bunny is going to do is make a lot of Hellions, make a lot of Hellbats, make a lot of Thors, make a lot of Vikings, make a lot of those really slow, methodical units. And then once he's finally maxed out, that's when he plans on moving across the map. Now, Swarm Hosts, they're great at just simply sending those waves of Locust forward. You can really chip away at the Terran player's army for a very long time. Or you can go after their natural. Both options are totally viable. You kind of force your opponent to go more Vikings and more Hellions and Hellbats. And with that, of course, less siege tanks. And that means that all of a sudden the Roach Ravager army is once again going to be more viable. Still, Roach Ravager not going to be as efficient. Here we go, a couple of Zerglings trying to make their way towards those siege tanks. Looks like they will be able to get one siege tank down for the troubles. Here come all of the Locusts as well. Looks like they actually may have been able to just kill something that just barely missed. Now that all of those siege tanks are on siege though, she may actually decide to jump on top of it, but no, Scarlett is going to back off to simply wait for those Locusts to run out. In the meantime though, Bunny is not waiting, right? I like this. He's already going up to a 4th base. He realizes that the base next to his natural is going to be a really difficult one to take because this is something that Zerg can easily push into. These tanks are going to siege up in a really powerful position. There's the meat grinder. Woohoo! The TERRAN meat grinder, man. That's a lot of dead roaches right there. I think that Bunny was planning to wait for a little while longer, but if he gets that much value, may as well go for a bit of a push out across the map. Those locusts are dealing a lot of damage, though. It's very scary to make that decision. Once again, sieging up with those tanks. Scarlett is going to be able to max out here in just a little bit, but I don't know if... Yeah, Bunny's going to continue this push. There's a lot of creep, though. He needs to be careful. He needs to be really careful. That's still a lot of siege tanks, but obviously, you know, one group of biles or one set of locusts can change the tide of this battle very, very rapidly. So the supply count here of our Zerg player is very deflated. Or inflated, rather. Like, you see a lot of supply there for Scarlett, but it's really not that scary of an army. Swarmos are 3 supply each. Roaches are 2 supply each, and basically all of this army is just very, very supply heavy. It's great when it initially maxes out, but the longer that this goes on, the more it will go in favor of the TERRAN player. Now, those biles are definitely starting to lay down the law as well. Scarlett is slowly picking up more and more of those units, but Bunny is also... I think he wants to go back, right? Yeah, okay, I was gonna say, I don't think you really want to overcommit. Usually with TERRAN, you wanna wait until you have a lot of scans available, then move across the map when, for example, you finish 2-2 or 3-3. As a matter of fact, actually, looks like one Liberator there got shut down by the Spore. As a matter of fact, actually, with 2-2 finishing up right now, I don't mind it at all. I think that the Bunny could go for an assault. Looks like that is gonna be the case. Or at the very least is going to slow push towards the center of the map. A lot of roaches now caught with their pens down once again. Counter-attack here though with roaches and ravagers. These swarmos all of a sudden looking menacing as well. If you're forced to retreat, it's very difficult to get the correct trade. Scarlett being very patient here. Trying to activate the locust here at the last possible second. Although I do think she wants to get them in here in just a little bit. There we go. They will be activated. That's a lot of Vikings though. Bunny is actually picking them off before they can really land. Scarlett now forced to go after the supply depot, but that's not really where you want to go. But still, the splash damage there of the siege tanks do also get one of the friendly tanks too. Bunny though, oh man, look at this man. He's really good. He's going for the 5th and the 6th base while this is all going on, right? Sure, he's got this engagement here in the middle of the map. But the one thing that Terrans usually are a little bit worried by when they get into this kind of scenario is that they don't get enough income. Scarlett, being really occupied near the northern end of the map, is not busy harassing here in the bottom right-hand corner whatsoever. Sure, Adron is now taking, you know, some minerals here towards the bottom left-hand corner as well. But there's no denying that at this point, Scarlett is completely unaware of all of these bases, right? That's a lot of Terran bases that are just simply sitting there. I think that we do want to see a switch out towards, for example, Brute Lord here in just a little bit. That, you know, would be a much better option. Eventually, this army is going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, here we go. Finally, roaches are moving across. They will find that there is a planetary fortress over here. There's actually a couple of planetary fortresses over at this point. Bunny, in the meantime, is making a move towards the center of the map. He's added on a lot of cyclones, which I actually really like. They're surprisingly good against, well, Locust, obviously, because they fire so very rapidly. Roach is now making their way towards the back of that mineral line. But look, Scarlett doesn't know about these bases. There's 2 more. There's 2 more bases hiding in the corner. These Vipers, though, they can change the tide of battle as well. That means, well, obviously, if you get the parasitic bombs down, it would be good. But one of them already was picked up for practically free. Great micro there by Bunny. At the same time, though, those roaches, well, will be picked off. At the same time, the ones over here at the base down south are going to be in a little bit of a riskier area. Couple of these Hellions picking up a few of the drone kills as well. That means that Scarlett is forced to move some of those units over. Once again, a massive parasitic bomb on the majority of this army. But all of a sudden, Bunny is sitting in a really scary position. Here comes the massive Locust wave. This is critical. Scarlett needs to do a lot of damage with this. But it looks like, oh man, those Cyclones were dealing some damage. Bunny actually unsieging the tanks as well to try and prevent his army from killing itself with that splash damage. Scarlett is definitely going to end up losing this base if Bunny decides to target fire it down. A lot of the Cyclones will be picked up right now as well, but there we go. That base will definitely be taken care of. And now actually Bunny using those destructible debris against the Zerg player, shutting out that Zerg from entering her own 3rd base. Or I guess it was the 4th base. Now reinforcing siege tanks are going to be able to do quite a bit of damage. Scarlett realizes that she can't really get in there, and Bunny is the one who takes a very, very solid game. Actually, I think every single game that I've seen of TVZ on this map so far has gone in favor of Zerg. Really cool style by Bunny, right? Playing it super greedy in the early game. And even though Scarlett went for an all-out Roach Assault against pretty much the greediest build that Terrans can go for, Bunny held really nicely there. And it just simply meant that he was going to be able to build up that really strong Terran ball of mechanical units. And obviously with all the bases taken on the right-hand side of the map, and then, you know, continuously moving back and forth against that Zerg army, but it prevented Scarlett from doing any counterattacks towards the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th base, or even scouting it for that matter. And all of a sudden, he was capable of maxing out, got to a very solid amount of upgrades, and he decided to go for a push. And that's where that game ended. Wonderful match. Very different than the one that I recently uploaded, a match between Innovation and Solar. Very, very different series indeed. But anyways, you know, this game is very different to that series. I'll go ahead and post a link to it down below in the description of this video if you're interested in watching a more conventional match of Terran versus Zerg instead. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright, and I will see you in the next one.